Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Welcome to Monday Magic Intuitive Energy Reading, where we give my take on the energy and how I'm currently experiencing it. The goal of these videos is just to let you know that you are not alone. Many times we are collectively experiencing something very similar, and it's easy for us to feel like I'm alone in this, I'm the only one. And so when you hear somebody else sort of speak to what they've been experiencing, and you say, hey, yeah, I felt a quality of that too, or maybe I might in the future, or maybe I did last week. It helps us really remember we're all in this together and we are never alone. So this week is a relatively easy week. It was not too crazy. Of course, relative is the key term here because we have had quite a bit of intensity in recent weeks. And so this was a nice reprieve, and yet it wasn't necessarily boring. There was plenty of interesting energy to work with. So, from a solar perspective, it was very, very quiet. We had a couple of X flares towards the end of the week last week prior to the Monday Magic, an M flare after that. But for the rest of the week, it was pretty quiet. From a Schumann resonance perspective, also pretty quiet. We had a couple of peaks midweek. Mid to late week, and they were very moderate in power and amplitude. So nothing too crazy there. Something, but not a lot compared to what we've had in recent weeks. We do have the new moon coming. And so that the last full moon was not particularly intense relative to other full moons. And I was even pleasantly surprised at my reminder this morning that there was a new moon coming on Wednesday. Typically, I'd be feeling more of the intensity by now, and there's not a lot of intensity, which is awesome. I will also preface it with it is a cool and rainy day here, so it's very much a soft nourishing feeling. It's been very dry here, so the humidity is kind of nice. The dewy skin is enjoying the temperatures and the moisture, but again, it's more of that nourishing soft feeling versus the high intensity new moon, full moon energy that we tend to get. So, I did make a note though that the unmeasurables were high. There was a fair amount of activation, I guess is probably the best word for it. It wasn't necessarily intense, although Thursday, Friday, there was a bit of intensity. People were kind of cranky. Maybe they didn't get a lot of sleep, or just, the activation was pretty high. And if you're not rested and prepared, then those behaviors, the undesirable behaviors can pop through. But there was nothing to point to as far as what was creating that intensity. It was clear something was coming in. Our bodies, especially my family, our bodies decided to purge in a very unusual way. There was nothing other than energy to point to as far as what was causing that. And so it's obviously there, and it helps, like I said, this is about remembering that you're not alone. So if you felt that Thursday, Friday, Saturday-ish, mostly Friday, then welcome to the club. There was clearly something to be worked through there, some integration happening. On a personal note, there were quite a few big changes, so I would love to hear from you guys. Did you have some changes solidify for you this past week? There have been inklings of things that may shift for me over the last few weeks, and this past week, all of the sudden, it finalized and it's certain, and we're making these big changes. And I will do a vlog update on what that looks like probably this week, but more so want to just stick to the quality of the energy or the quality of the experiences. This solidification is very clear, and once your decision is made, it would appear that there is no going back, right? That this is the new path. This is the shift and change that we've been waiting for. It's here, it's arrived. We are fully stepping into this. I would say it's clear the shift and change that is going to happen. That shift and change is happening, but it will take, for me personally, a few weeks for it to really be 100% complete. It would seem that there is a potential for all of us to perceive this shift and change in various ways, and how we choose to perceive it could either create a feeling of nervousness and anxiety and fear over how it might turn out. Or it could also be that we choose the perspective of, this is going to be amazing. The life is always happening for me, not to me, that this is the next good thing to happen to me. And I'm going to choose to perceive that change as divine will, as what is best for my life now. And it's really important to remember that how you anticipate determines how you will experience. And I love the Rumi quote that says, do not move the way fear makes you move, or the way fear would have you move, something of that nature. So we really want to make sure that, one, we're making decisions based on our heart's guidance, really taking the time to get still, put your feet on the ground, put your back on a tree, sit and ask the question, is option A the best for me? Is option B the best for me? And really try those things on and notice what tendency you might have that might come from fear versus the tendency that might come from a true heart's desire or a belief in the possibility of something good coming through for you. So really be careful and remember that your expectation, your anticipation will determine how you experience these shifts and changes. A bit of a separate note, the psychic activity was very high over the last, I'd say 3 weeks, especially. Last week in particular, not this past week, but the week prior to that. Sorry, I'm confusing a little bit. 2 weeks ago, the psychic activity was extremely high, and it brought in an awareness for me that it was unusual, that it was more difficult to manage thoughts. It required more effort and energy to catch and replace and correct. And that caused me to start asking the question, what needs to happen here? What needs to be done? If the typical strategies that we have employed are exhausting and taking so much more effort than they used to, then what is it going to take? And we know that this is a spiritual war, right? Warfare happens in the mind, and the battleground is our thoughts. And if we know that war is being waged through our thoughts and in our minds, then we need to make that the highest priority, especially considering that your thoughts are creating your reality. There needs to be no higher priority, maybe other than our connection with source, right? And our loved ones. And so that caused me to ask the question, what is it going to take? What do I need to do to calm the mind, to cut this off at the head so that it's not a reactive thought management process, but rather a proactive? And it was so exciting that guidance came through, that there is awareness around what it's going to take, and that it is possible to completely still the antagonistic thoughts, the pestering thoughts, the negative Nancy mindset, right? Those rabbit holes of thought patterns that tend to take us down. It is possible. Now, that's to give you the solution in this video is too much. So I will do another video this week. So make sure you're subscribed so you see that when that comes out. But know that some really fun clarity came through. It is possible. It will take effort and time, but it's working already in my life. And so I'm really excited to be able to share that with you. So really just start to notice how has your thought life been? Has it been difficult for you in recent weeks? If it has, please comment below. Let people know that they are not alone, because you have no idea how many lives you touch through one comment, not to mention me. When you say thank you, that's amazing. I am so grateful and appreciative. That's what keeps me going. But to all the other people that will see your comment, it is kind of like a hand that reaches out and pulls them up and says, you're not alone. We're all in this together. If you have a favorite go-to tip around managing your thoughts and what works for you, please do also drop that below, and help your brothers and sisters out, right? Thoughts create our reality. Thoughts have to be our priority. Thought management, our thought life has to be top of mind, right? So it is also important to remember that thought is the veil. Thought is the illusion. Thought is the separation. Is when people say the only thing standing in you are the only thing standing in your own way, it is your perception, it is your thoughts, right? So notice the quality of your thoughts. Notice when your thoughts are primarily focused on you. The I, me, my thoughts, they call those self-referential thoughts. That is what prevents guidance. That is what separates you from source. That is what prevents what people call downloads or creative insights, or it's the way that Tesla and Einstein used to create or innovate was through that empty space of your mind, which starts with stopping self-referential thoughts. Okay, I'm getting in the weeds here. So check out the video coming later this week on this. I can't wait to share that with you. So it was also amazing. So that insight came through probably Friday-ish, right after the intensity of energy, which is interesting. That was a beautiful gift delivered through that. And then from there, Saturday was very hopeful. I just woke up feeling amazing. Like this is going to be the next best thing, which is obviously every day is the next best thing. And there's a lot of hope coming through, a lot of support. It's just a positive, supporting, loving energy. And there's a peace and a stillness that is coming through sort of on the tail end of that as well, where especially today, just this ability to tap into rest and peace like I have not felt in a very long time. Certainly there have been moments of bliss and hope and peace that have come through over the last couple of years, but I would say not to this extent, that the level of stillness and peace that is available today is greater than maybe in the last year or two. So the glimpses of the sweetness in the stillness are the best part. That it's almost as if I can smell someone is baking a pie and I'm not quite to the pie yet, but I can taste it. I can catch a glimpse of it. I can see it coming and I can feel it coming. And there is synchronicity and flow that seems to be coming with that. That is, it's showing up for us, but it's also up to us to allow it in. And the question that came through is, will you let it in? And will you stop resisting? And it seems so silly when all we want is peace and fulfillment and happiness and hope and joy and bliss. So we would find ourselves saying, of course, I'm not going to resist that. But what we don't realize is the resistance is very sneaky. It's happening in our subconscious, below our conscious awareness. We don't realize my muscles are tensed right now, or I'm holding tension in my throat. I'm somehow suppressing or resisting something. That in my fear of how this might shift and change, I cling to the past and I prevent the gifts that are trying to come in. That even in the resistant thought patterns that we have, we are separating ourselves from the sweetness of stillness, flow that is available to us always. So it starts in the mind, and stay tuned because we will get into that later this week. So as far as upcoming, we do have, like I said, the new moon in Leo on Wednesday. I believe it is 2:38 Pacific, 12:38 Central, 11:38 Eastern. There feels like there's a connection between that moon and the Sun-Venus conjunction in Leo, which is at that degree currently square Uranus, and then the new moon will be also square Uranus. So I feel into Sun-Venus as something beautiful, something loving. It's a beautiful divine gift. One of the most precious gifts that we could be given is that feeling of love and peace and hope and happiness and joy and bliss. And the fact that it's square Uranus means that it can come through in surprising ways. It can be sudden, it can be fast, it can be different than we anticipated or ever thought possible. So I love the quality of this. If you like surprises, it will be enjoyable. If not, just hold on. But the sun is currently, I believe, probably on its way out now. Cazimi, which means typically that the sun would burn it out, but because of its position and its placements, it is a positive thing this time around. And as the sun, or as Venus reemerges, which means kind of coming back out from the excessive light of the sun, we will start to see even more Venus quality energies and support and guidance. And so this should potentially be a good week. I don't predict the future, so I would say don't quote me on that. But I'm feeling into some real positive movements this week, so I hope and pray the same for you. All right. Take a deep breath. Soak in the energy of the now, the quality of the support that's being given to you. Feel into your body. Rest in the beautiful, soft hug that is your body, that loves and nurtures your soul. And rest in that stillness. I love you, my friends. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed week. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Namaste.